What's going on, guys? Welcome back to my channel. This is Leo's Nerd Talk, and today we're going to be going over Scream 7. So let's get into that. Hi, my name is Leo, and if you guys like talking anything movie, TV show, video game related, or just anything nerdy, you are in the right place. And like I said, today we're talking about Scream 7. Without further ado, let's get into the review. Now, me, like most people, were very skeptical about this movie, especially everything that happened behind the scenes with Melissa Barrera and Jenna Ortega, and the original director leaving from after Scream 5 and 6. I was very skeptical because I really enjoyed that cast. Where they were taking the story with Melissa Barrera's character and Jenna Ortega's character, and for that to be all scrapped away, redo the entire script, bring back Neve Campbell, try to nostalgia bait us with a bunch of different castings. Like this is not a spoiler, but before the movie even released, we already knew that Matthew Lillard was going to be coming back as Stu. Like that was something that was announced way ahead of time from the studio themselves. So it was definitely this kind of thing to just bring everybody in, try to do the best to revive the situation that kind of happened during that in-between stage between Scream 6 and Scream 7. But regardless of that, regardless of the fact of the matter is that I still went into this movie trying to be as unbiased as possible, just going for the movie's merits. Does this movie really need to exist? Does this movie make sense? Is this a story worth telling? And that's kind of how I had my mindset, and I wasn't worried about all the other behind the scenes political stuff that was going on with all the cast members and production companies and studios and all that stuff. That was completely out of my head. I wanted to watch this movie based on its own story and its own merit. So that is what I'm going to give you guys today, my unbiased reaction. But before I give you my thoughts of this movie, make sure to hit that like and subscribe button. I appreciate every single one of you guys that like my videos, that views my videos, that comments on my videos, and especially if you subscribe. That is absolutely amazing. It makes me feel good, makes me want to continue to do this more. I'm not a big YouTuber or anything like that, but it's still something I really, really enjoy to do. I love making these videos. Every time I complete a video, and I'm really proud of it, I'm very, very happy to even show it up to one person. If they view it, they like it, they comment, they subscribe, that means the world to me. So if you guys like what I'm doing here and you have any suggestions, or you want me to review any certain movies, or you want me to do like a review series of a franchise that you really love, definitely put in the comments. I'll do my best to do it. I'll give you my honest thoughts. I want to do as much content as I possibly can for you guys. It's a little tough when you're working a full-time job and stuff like that, of course, but I still want to produce as much videos and the highest quality I can with the setup that I have. So with that being said, let's go ahead and get straight into my pros. And starting with my pros is the reintroduction of Neve Campbell, Sidney Prescott, or in this movie, she goes by Sydney Evans, another kind of secret identity, and her relationship with her daughter, even a little bit with her husband as well. I think just the character dynamic between this family was done very well. It felt very real, where you have someone like Sidney Prescott who has gone through the ringer in terms of trauma and what she has survived, and you have a daughter that feels like she doesn't even know her mother, that all she knows is because of the stab movies or what people tell her, or how people are just obsessed with her and these true crime stuff within this world. And every time she tries to go forward and speak with her mother, she just gets shut out and she does not want to bring it up. And that's just such a real dynamic where you don't want to trauma dump onto your daughter. You don't want to bring all your past life into her life and make her feel like she's not safe, or make her feel like she has something to worry about, or that she's never going to live up to the infamous Sidney Prescott and stuff like that. She just wants to be a regular mother. She wants to protect her daughter by doing it like any normal mother would, by giving her life lessons, talking to her, making sure she goes to school and things like that. But of course, you have the daughter who just feels like she's being shut out and her mom doesn't care to talk to her and just feels like the relationship isn't going anywhere. But the way they kind of navigate that throughout the entire movie, and how her daughter starts to realize what her mother went through all these years, and they both now have a mutual understanding of this trauma. It's very nice to see how that all meshes together. Their relationship between each other is very, very believable. Definitely a big highlight in terms of the characters in this movie. Another big highlight is, of course, the kills itself. I think Ghostface is one of the most ruthless in this movie, where they're very creative kills, very brutal kills. Now, some of them here and there, they look a little too fake. You can tell that they're using like a dummy and stuff like that on certain aspects. But if you kind of try to take that out of your head and just go for its own merit of how the kill went, It is very, very fun. It is very brutal. It's gruesome, very entertaining. They very unique in all the kills and stuff like that. You have really, really great kills. The two standout kills, I'm not going to tell you who got killed or exactly how it happened, but you have a character who gets killed on stage during like rehearsal, essentially, for theater, and then you have another person that gets killed at a bar. Very, very unique kills, how the way they did that, very tense moments. So definitely the way Ghostface was being during in the Ghostface costume, very brutal, very relentless, and was really going for the throats at this one. And like I said at the beginning, this isn't a spoiler because before the movie even came out, this was announced by the studio themselves that Matthew Lillard is coming back as Stu Macher. Now, this is a mixed in a sense, but this is kind of a pro as well because I did enjoy just seeing Matthew Lillard back in the Scream franchise. You know, what his involvement really is, that's really up to the viewers. I'm not going to tell you exactly what his role is in this movie, but just seeing him back is very fun. I just love Matthew Lillard, one of the best actors ever, in my opinion, for what he does. You know, I think he's just a great person in general too. When you see videos of him, he's absolutely amazing. I've always wanted to meet him, and I might get a chance this summer because he's going to be at a horror con near me. So hopefully I can do that. But Matthew Lillard has always been my definitive Ghostface. You know, I know everybody loves Billy. That original dynamic, in my opinion, is the best original dynamic for the Ghostface killers. We have Billy Loomis and Stu Macher, but I've always been more of a Stu Macher guy. I just loved his energy, his kind of crazy kind of nature to him, the things he would say, the way he would say it, how goofy but sadistic he was all the time. Like I have a tattoo of Ghostface and Stu Macher on my leg. You know, that's how much I adore that Ghostface. So seeing him back in this movie in, like, again, whatever capacity, that's up to you to decipher when you watch the film. It's still just a pleasure to see him in the film, and it's just a pleasure to see him back in the franchise. And I just want to see more of him. I love Stu Macher. I want to see him do more things outside of Scream and just do as much as he possibly can because I love Matthew Lillard. He's just absolutely amazing. So again, that's kind of a mixed bag because of how it all kind of goes down, but it's still very nice to see him in this movie, and that is a slight positive for me. But overall, I had a lot of fun with this movie. This definitely doesn't feel like the worst of the franchise. We'll obviously get into really big negatives towards the cons. I just don't think this is the worst in the franchise. I still think maybe Scream 3 is my least favorite. This is a close second, though. But it was still overall a lot of fun. This franchise, even with this entry, is still one of the most consistent horror franchises of all time, where at worst, you're like, that was good. You know, not terrible. It's not really what I expected, but it's watchable. At worst, you know, when you have a horror franchise that at worst, that's your reaction, that's pretty good, you know, because there's a lot of horror franchises out there where they go completely off the rail and you're like, oh, that was awful. I would never want to watch that again. I don't think I have that reaction with any of the Scream movies. And some of the Scream movies are in my top horror movies of all time. So this is definitely a beloved franchise for me. But with that being said, let's go ahead and get into the cons. And the biggest con for me is really the logic of how things happen. They really try to kind of go all over the place with certain things, and especially when it comes to the Ghostface and the killers and how they get revealed. And that is really like the biggest issue with this movie is the Ghostface killers. The reveals of these killers is absolutely awful. Like, it's, if not the worst, second to worst reveal ever in this franchise. You have killers that have little to no motive, or the motive that they try to give themselves really just doesn't make sense. And you're like, really? You went through all of this, everything you did in this movie, all of this killing and burning houses down and doing every single thing that you do just because of this very tiny motive? It is one of the worst motives, one of the worst reveals, and because of it, it just drops the enjoyment factor of this movie so long. And especially that third act, once you get closer to the reveals, it just feels like it starts to drag. And this movie is under 2 hours, and when you have a movie that drags, that is an under 2 hour movie, you know you have pacing issues, you know you have entertainment issues. Because if a movie's entertaining, it can be 5 hours long. You're gonna love the whole thing if it's entertaining all the way through. But if you have something that you see and you're like, oh, dude, come on. Are you serious? This is what you're giving us? You will feel that time heavily. And yeah, that reveal is just awful. And that's really the biggest gripe of this movie for me. There's little things here and there. Like I said, there's certain practical effects or certain CGI blood and stuff like that that just looks bad and it's not that great, but it's still covered by a very entertaining kill. So it gets a pass a little bit, but that reveal does not get a pass. It's, I can go on and on about how terrible it is, but it's hard to do it without going into spoilers. But this movie definitely follows the Scream formula where we show you characters and, ooh, who can it be? It's the who done it. They're not doing anything different in this movie, which is unfortunate, where they don't try to mix it up a little bit. But, you have the, oh, who done it? Is it the good boyfriend that seems to be too good to be true? Or is it the weird friend that has an obsession with Sidney Prescott and true crime? Or is it the one friend that everybody likes, but, there could be something underneath? Or is it this person over here who we see for 2 minutes and is the son or the daughter or whatever the fuck? There's all these different things, and how they just try to sprinkle in and throw you curveballs. And that's, how whodunit works, right? You get these little curveballs. You get characters that look obvious, the characters that don't seem too obvious but have a specific motive. But these characters, although it could be obvious to detect who they are, it's a little bit more difficult because the motive is so weak, where it's hard to decipher that would have been the person to do so, because of how weak the motive is, that you couldn't really think that would have been the reason all these killings are happening, because of that specific reason. So this movie doesn't do anything new, nothing innovative. The killers and reveals are weak. The motives are weak, and the movie tends to drag towards the third act. And it's still entertaining. It's still fun. I still enjoy it. I'll still rewatch this movie because most of the first half of the film is really good, like really good, where you're just like, damn, this is probably one of the best sequels. And it just drops off hard, and it's tough because this is kind of a movie where if you praise it, you're a dumbass. You don't know what you're fucking talking about. This is the worst movie in the franchise. If you hate it, you're a dumbass. You don't know what you're talking about. This is the best movie in the franchise. This movie is really in the middle in terms of how everybody's reacting to it. Because if you love this movie, you cannot tell me you love that ending. And if you hate this movie, you can't tell me that the first half of this movie isn't mildly entertaining. I'm sure there's people review bombing this movie and they didn't even go watch it. And I'm sure there's people praising, giving it 5 stars on Letterboxd or whatever, and they didn't even go watch it. Go watch the movie, make your own opinion, because that is the most important opinion, your own. And for me, this movie was really fun. It just had a shitty fucking ending. And because of that ending, it feels like this movie doesn't merit the existence. But I'm excited to see where they're going to take things next. I like Neve Campbell back. Was it the route I would have gone? Not really, especially after what we got with Melissa Barrera's character. I thought her character was really fun, but it is still fun to see Neve Campbell back, and it's still very enjoyable to see her as the final girl, because she is my favorite final girl of all time. But that is going to be it for this one, guys. Let me know what you thought about Scream 7 in the comments section down below. Be respectful, please. Or if you want to talk shit to me, I don't care either. But if you guys like talking about the movie, TV show, video game related, or just anything nerdy, you are in the right place. Make sure to hit that like and subscribe button. I'll see you guys on the next video. Thank you.